What is up?
What's up, guys?
It is go time. Seth, how the heck are you doing, man? Look at that long neck.
I am tired and dying slowly from overuse.
Dying slowly from overheating.
Someone's been getting some sun lately.
Yep,
Some
copper will do that to you.
The Copper Man going crazy. I love it.
Right, the tin Man, right?
We got to get you a big hat, brother. Big sombrero.
A big hat that covers my face.
Yeah.
Maybe Colin can lend a hat or
A
two.
B screen, just like a B screen, just
Beekeeper's helmet.
I tried glasses last week, but then I had the really bad Burning Man mask.
Can't wait. So what's up, guys? What are we doing today?
Man, life is good. Like, it is summertime in northern Michigan, as Kid Rock says, and it feels amazing. Love it. Like, everything is green. I ended the day. I ran a ton of estimates today, and I ended it in the middle of nowhere, and it was beautiful. Like, the most perfectly landscaped home ever, and just sitting on their covered porch in the shade, overlooking fields is beautiful. So,
signing contracts.
Yep, signing contracts, man. Roof gutters, and they begged me for siding. I said no, but it's no fence, the works, man.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Nice, dude. Congrats.
Yeah.
Big day. We were talking offline. You had a big day, right? Big roof today.
Did. That was the second one. So snagged a big one. So it was a good day. It was a real good day.
Kind of lines up with what the topic of tonight's podcast is about, right? I mean, we're talking about roofs, but this is the Gutter Installer Facebook group and the Gutter Live show. We have the gutter guy and the hanging gutter guy and Cowboy Colin, the gutter guy. I mean, we're gutter guys, right? But we do all these other things. And I think that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. How to get into other realms of business, what to get into, maybe what not to get into, when not to get into it. There's so many ways and areas we can go. We all have different feelings on it. But the funny thing is, regardless of, I wouldn't say negative, but like the cautionary side of this, who are we fooling, the three of us, right? We all do other things. So what is the right answer? What's the right formula? I think that's what we want to try to boil out and get to the bottom of. I'd love to be able to share really good insight because, we've all been at it for a while, collectively and individually, and we do a variety of things, each of us. But what is, if we really, in hindsight, we could talk about mistakes we made, things we dove into too fast, areas we do very well in, areas we continue to push into, and then maybe the guys at home could, take some notes, gather some pointers on this, find areas they want to either delve into they haven't had any experience in, or push harder on because they started, and maybe we give them a little momentum and some excitement about continuing in that realm. I don't know where to even begin, right?
And they need to comment what they're doing outside of gutter too, because we want to know what everyone else is.
That's a good point. Comments from everybody at home watching, please chime in. Give us your take, any questions, areas you want us to go with this conversation. We love that stuff, and we'll definitely keep our eyes on the comment feed. Kyle, you want to start? I mean, you're doing a bunch of different things, and I know you have some you pump the brakes on this stuff too. So maybe we start with that type of stuff.
Right.
I don't know. Where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, we can go all sorts of ways with this. So I launched my business almost a decade ago, and in that decade, I added garage doors first, and then I did siding, then I did windows, then I did roofing, and then I went to just roofing and gutters, and then I just recently added windows back in. So kind of been there, done that, tried a little bit of everything.
All right, so the ones that you just mentioned, what are off the plate right now that you don't even touch anymore?
Garage doors and siding.
Okay.
Yeah, those are off the plate.
Was
that a bad experience? Was that fueled by a bad experience, or was that just not being able to get to everything?
No, I mean, I honestly, I could own the market in both of those. Garage doors is really, really tricky to train other people. There's so many parts and components to a garage door, and it's so finicky. I mean, if it's a nut hair out of level, it ain't going to run right.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
back 100 times.
So yeah, it's just like it was really, really hard to scale that. I did that for 2 years, and I was to the point where we were becoming like the premier. And this was early on
Interesting.
about SEO and whatnot, but I couldn't scale it, man. It ended up with me getting calls from my techs and having to show up almost daily to help diagnose and fix and whatever else. So
Because they couldn't figure out.
right. Yep. And so that was the garage door thing. Siding, and I feel like siding is a natural progression for a lot of gutter guys.
Yeah.
They get like all googly eyed over the big ticket, like, oh, but it's 30 grand, and opposed to 2,000 or $3,000 gutter jobs. And what they fail, and I can't tell you, I mean, I've got another guy right now making a video. I went mini viral with him at GutterCon. My videographer just kind of caught us talking, and he's like, "So we're adding siding this year," and I was like, "Do it."
I was standing right there. I remember that conversation.
Yeah, you're standing there, and this guy, he's like, he just joined Gutter Launch, and he's like, "Dude, I didn't listen to you, and we did 2 siding jobs, and you couldn't have been more right. Like, we lost our butts on these things. Like, they took forever. It didn't work, and like, it is exactly what you said." And I was like, it's real. Like, the only way you can make money doing siding is just literal whack and stack. If you care about quality, it's got to be like you're charging a boatload of money, and you got to be okay with your take home being, 500 to $1,000 a day versus more than that with gutters.
Yeah, not to offend anyone if you do siding, but it's just not a good product in the first place, and to elevate it to something that you can feel comfortable with and have consistently happy customers.
Right.
That is a lot of detail work. That is so much detail work. That is not just stand there with a decoiler and a brake.
What product are we talking about, right? Because there's so many flavors. If you're working with hardy plank and you're like or cedar, it's a different game. Vinyl, vinyl is a definite no for me.
I assume that's what we're talking about. Is vinyl.
Yeah, I'm in a different market, right? So everything is super high end here. Everything is hardy and natural cedar, a lot of perfection. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money there. But
Seth, do you have vinyl down in Texas?
Unfortunately, we actually have a lot of it. It's gone way down in the past 5 years, but it's still a thing. Even new construction will quite often have like vinyl soffit.
Interesting.
Yeah, do like smart side fascia, smart side siding, and then vinyl soffit. I don't know why that's a thing.
Wild.
But we're seeing a lot less of it, which makes me happy.
That's probably the creep for a gutter guy, right? It starts with fascia, and then fascia ties into soffit, and then the customer's like, "Well, can you keep going?" I think that so maybe if you parse that, and I do a ton of fascia, a lot of fascia build outs, a lot of soffit. Maybe keep that in the wheelhouse. That's not terribly tough unless you're redesigning things and setting new plumb lines and changing the aesthetic. That's kind of, I don't call it plug and play, but tear off and redo. It's not hard, especially if you have a break and you have the right equipment. I mean, it's rock and roll. But then to get into the body of the house, that gets hairy.
Right. My last job where I was like, all right, I'm done. We're done advertising it. Customer wanted crown molding on all their windows, right? So yeah, cool, right? But everything was PVC, right? So it was all vinyl or PVC. So I order up the crown molding they like, and they're like, yeah, that's great. Okay, and this is how we're going to install it. Yep, I install it. They're gone. Right, we finish the job. They're gone. They come home the next week. This is not what we agreed to. It's supposed to look like this other house you did. And I was like, it's literally the same.
Yeah,
like we did it the same, everything. Like we layered it, so like a 1x12 and a 1x8, and then the crown, and like capped it, like did some cool stuff. And it's literally the same. Nope, it's not the same because their siding is behind it and ours is gray channeled around it. And I was like, Yes, because theirs was like retrofitted. We had to build it out over the siding. It's aluminum siding. We wanted our siding behind it. It's like that's not the right way to do it. So they wanted to change. We changed it 3 times. 3 times, and this customer still to this day owed me 10 grand. They withheld the final 10 of their $55,000 job because they weren't happy with the. I had 3 different contractors in town call me up and say, "Hey, um, so these customers are trying to get me to write a bid for $20,000 to
Oh my
remove
God.
and stuff so they can sue you." 3 different contractors. So um, I politely had my attorney send them a letter and let them know that they are attempting some sort of fraud here or whatever, however he worded it. And I'll have no problem suing them for their entire home if they continue the defamation. And never heard from them again. So
That's one way to get out of that line of work, right?
yeah,
That's a nightmare.
it was a nightmare. They still haven't changed anything. They've done nothing with the crown. It's still exactly how I last left it.
Tells
5
you
years
those
later
people.
or whatever. So, yep.
All right, so like gutter guys at home, right? So what are they? When do you max out? When is it healthy to consider taking on new things, new expertise, new areas of business and deliverables, and we talked about this offline. A lot of guys rush to start adding on additional services. They move too fast. They do it too early. What is too early? How do we define that?
When you get off the truck and you think you're ready, it's too early. Like being off of the tools does not mean okay, cool. I'm going to start doing this line now too, right? You're one employee leaving away from you being back on the truck and not being able to do these other things.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the number one thing that I see.
I
I'm
think
off the truck.
my number one is going to be if you don't have someone who's skilled to do it.
Yeah, well,
Right.
That's too early.
For sure. To me,
If you put out signs before, if you put out we're doing this new service, also hiring, that's just a no go for me.
yeah.
Right.
To me, I think the start is, regardless of what it is, you really need to be very proficient in that trade. You need to know it inside and out. You need to be able to do all your own takeoffs. You need to know exactly every part and piece needed on the job, timelines, how long things take. You really need to master it, even if it's maybe you're not highly technical hands-on. That's okay, but you really need to be deep in the concept because A, you have to sell it. B, you need to manage the labor behind it, and you need to know who's on point and who's not. And I mean, start there, right? So I do roofing. I know Colin does roofing. Seth, I don't think you roof, but I'm sure you're capable. Uh, I know roofing very well, very, very well, inside and out, and I wouldn't even touch it if I didn't really deeply understand it. I mean, I think a lot of guys get into things and just if the customer says they need something, everybody jumps to say, "Okay, no problem, I'll figure it out." That's what they're thinking. I'll go home and figure it out. I'll go back to the office and I'll get the guy. I'll put the price together. And what do? You don't know the trade, so you go to somebody else and you go, "How much for this?"
Yep.
And then you mark it up, and then you turn around and hand the customer a bid, and that's a slippery slope because they might say yes. And if they say yes, man, now you got a lot of work.
Sometimes that yes is the worst thing that ever happens to you.
That's it. It really is. Philip Fillinger just commented and said, I'm assuming this was, when is it okay to add another service? And he says, when you can walk away for 4 weeks and the gutter side doesn't burn to the ground. And I think that's I think that's the truth.
You're not wrong, buddy.
All right. So yeah, so many people get stuck in that like, I don't know, they got one client. I did it this year, right? I consumed, I don't know, probably 5 hours a week trying to do this GC thing. And I think I've still got the relationship. Everything's fine. But I am 7 months in, 6 months in, and the dude still hasn't figured out what furnace he wants in his house. I'm like, why did I get you 2 quotes from 2 guys that I like if you're not going to listen to me? Right? He's like, hey, when are we getting the drywall done? I'm like, buddy, you don't have HVAC, plumbing, or electrical even remotely figured out in this house. Like, drywall is the last thing you need to be thinking about. But I didn't have a formal contract where it's like, hey, these are my subs, this is what I'm using, let me go. Right. And it was just kind of a weird little thing. So I'm
Yeah.
still dumb. I'm still trying this stuff.
Look, some guys do really well with GCing, and I certainly, I'm a GC by definition, right? I mean, I'm a paper contractor. I am capable of probably everything. I've built a few houses, top to bottom, with subcontractors. I just don't like it. It's slow turn. The money gets jammed up. A lot of it gets held out to the very end. Your money, you're paying everybody out. Your money, your real profit is at the end. And that those last like 2, 3 payments, that's just a karate chop to your profit. It's just like whack, whack. And then it's like down to the last one. You're like, man, I'm trying to hold on to all of that. And there's always some twist or surprise or punch list nonsense. I don't like work that takes forever, and that's why gutters is great. So many guys say the same thing: you're out, you get paid immediately. The revenue stream is phenomenal in that sense.
Yep.
So I always look for other things, add-ons, to be similar, where I'm not there forever. It pays well, and it falls in line with my business model. Get in, get out, be good at it. Make sure the margins are there, and certainly I'm not doing the race to the bottom where I'm just throwing a price and competing on price. It's got to be, you want me, I'm going to deliver the goods, and it can move quickly for me. Those are my little tenets that I live by with add-on work. Seth, you're doing wood flooring. I mean, and by the way, I mean, we always love you on the show. You're a regular on this. Tell us about wood flooring. Obviously, you have some long childhood history or something with this, because you might be the only
It's
guy.
beautiful. Like, I can't get enough of this piece.
He's an artist, dude. He's an artist.
So when I was about 12 years old, I guess, we took this. My dad had a gutters and remodeling company, and we took on this job to restore this 1860s house. And I fell in love with old architecture. Like we restored this house, and then restored 2 more houses for this lady, and I just fell in love with it. And so for, what is that, 24 years now, I've just I've done antique architecture restoration. Um, I have a separate company for it, and it's just me. I'm just a lone artisan. I don't have subs or anything. I do it all. So I really like the wood floors. Um, they completely destroy my gutter schedule. The one I'm doing right now is 350 miles from where I live,
Ugh.
and I'm going down there twice a week, spending uh, 1 or 2 nights there, then coming back, then going back. Uh, it's horrible. I mean, they're really expensive, but I just like doing them. I try to schedule 1 or 2 a year. This one was not supposed to be right now. I bid it in like December, and then the insurance just a tree had fallen on this house, and the insurance still hasn't paid. But the homeowners were like, "All right, we're just going to pay for it out of pocket right now because we've waited so long," and they were in a hurry, and it fell like right in the middle of this big copper install, and
Yeah.
it's horrible
Yeah.
having other things going on at the same time. Like it's
What
killing
is
me.
so this wood floor? I've seen the big rectangle piece that you made,
Yeah.
right? You know, are you doing a bunch of other wood flooring with that, or just like what are
So
you doing?
It's like it's a
on
drop in,
this,
right?
yeah, on this house, it's like a big 5.5 by 11 foot inlay, and I it's a parquet floor, and parquet floors are really really thin. When you think about a wood floor, you got a 3/4 inch stock. Parquet is actually 5/16 of an inch thick,
Hmm.
so it's really really thin. And I didn't want to build this really complicated thing there on the job site, so I built it in panels at my shop here, and then brought it down there. And I just got it 90% or 99% installed Thursday. What day is it? Tuesday. I got it installed Tuesday, and I've never seen anyone do a floor like this before. I've never seen anyone inlay into parquet. So
You're a savage, dude.
it's
Right.
So are you
gonna be wild.
the
So what is
piles of like reclaimed wood in the shed? Like you probably sitting on all kinds of wood, right?
Yeah, I sit on reclaim stuff like crazy. I'm a big reclaim nut, so I've got like 1,000 foot of reclaimed copper gutter in the back stacked up.
Wow.
That's supposed to go in my house one day, but it's
Yeah,
it's
it's a
been
good
sitting there
shape.
for 6 years now. I've got stamped tin backsplash and ceiling stuff from like the 1830s stacked up in the garage. I got all the cool stuff, and I just never had time to put it together. My
Right.
wife's staring at me from the side right here. She's like,
Pseudo hoarder, but you're like, we will make money on these jobs someday. I have a vision here.
it's more like my house is going to be, pretty dope one day. But
Right, once I put it all together. So you're like a puzzle master, basically.
I'm probably just a hoarder.
just a order? What does that inlay go for though?
So that
30 grand?
that floor was 22 grand.
22.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it seems like a lot until you kind of break it down to.
It doesn't seem like enough.
It's
labor
going to end up being like about $4,000 of wood, and then 6 weeks of labor. And it's not like 12 hours a day labor, but for the install side of it, it is, because I'm working 16 hours basically driving back and forth to where it is.
Generally, just you doing the work.
Yeah, I'm really bad about this. I take these side jobs because they're fun and I like them, and like
I know
I'm an artisan. I like making stuff, but I wouldn't suggest it to anyone who has a company and people to take care of.
These are the things not to do, guys. Learn from us, right? This is what we're trying to tell you here.
Right.
I mean, look, he's making money. That's the profit's great. 6 weeks, that's the killer for me. I'm like, got to get this over with. Got to get out of here. Got to move on. But the money, if it's just you, see, that's the thing. I put my time into the front office, the sales side. I'll squeeze myself dry on stacking as many contracts as I can. And I have the labor that's ready to go, right? So the other thing is too, it's like I never let anything contaminate the rain gutter team and the drainage team. If I get stuff that's outside of scope and I know I can handle it, I have other subcontractors that are phenomenal that'll do it. Like cedar roofs, slate roofs, copper work, copper roofs, standing seam. I have guys that are amazing. As soon as they free up on whatever they're on, maybe they're 2-3 weeks out, they're on my stuff, lights out. They kill it. But I won't jam up the flow on seamless aluminum, right? Even if I have a guy with the skill set, no, I'm not changing gears, because that's when the mistakes happen and then you get stuck, right? So, but in your case, you're a glutton for punishment, but you're good at this stuff and you're like, I could do it, not a problem. So you plug yourself in.
Yeah, it's more if it wasn't just like an art form, it wouldn't be happening. It's not for the money. It's just this is
like I said, labor of love. You're an artist, dude. You're an artist by heart, so I get that. Yeah. Kyle, so you get good money on windows? How many windows do you think you put in a year?
We just started this year, and I think we've put in like 40 windows, right? Like I'm not pushing it super hard. I'm doing like a real soft launch, if you will.
A welded vinyl window?
Yeah.
Double pane.
Simple welded vinyl, double or triple pane. We get crazy low. Like the company I chose to work with, I buy direct, and I can do like foam filled and different, multiple layers of film on the glass, and get that U factor down to like 0.22. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Energy Star is like 0.28, so it's
Well, they give you like a 7-day turnaround on the order. One of those types.
No, actually, it still takes like 5 weeks to get the windows.
Shit,
So
that's too slow.
yeah, but foam filled. I mean, the works, right? And all the different colors, and that's like the fun part for me is showing up and like windows usually transition into gutters and roof and soffit and fascia because they're like everybody wants black freaking exterior windows now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they want the windows to be black on the outside. Well, you know what would really make that look good if we did black gutters. Oh yeah, I like that. Like,
We do
should
it.
we just change the soffit and fascia while we're at it? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, well now your brown roof looks really stupid. Yeah, we should change that too.
Charcoal.
Right. And it's just like boom, 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 boom. Right. And now it's a 6-figure project. It's, all right, let's go. you know, that's kind of like the flow of it. And sometimes they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to hold off on the windows, but I really like the black gutters, soft fascia. That's in my budget. Let's do that. Okay. And now our bread and butter gets money, So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Get back to like, the when is it enough or when is it time to flex? And we just breezed over it and we said, wow, if you're one fire or higher or one guy quitting away from everything coming to a grinding halt, let's assume they have 2 teams, 3 teams, and they're cranking, they're still kind of scaling, they're growing year to year. What do you look for? I know what I look for. What do you guys look for? What do you think is the mark or the marker for when it may be time to in a healthy way, find some other avenue, some other add-on? When is it safe? What are we looking at? Revenue? Are we looking at lead gen? Are we looking at, how many weeks out you are on your production schedule?
Alex Hermosi says it really, really well. As long as there are other competitors doing what you're doing, you have not hit like the ceiling, right? So as long as there are other gutter guys in your market, there's more for you to grow, right?
But
And
the law of diminishing returns, and you're always never going to have all the market share.
right, yeah. I mean, so Josh Latimer and myself did a deep study or dive into this years ago. Josh kind of started it, and then I kind of rode his coattails and didn't really help, but whatever. But we deep dove into this because we want to figure out, like, I live in a small market. Like, how much of the market share do I actually have?
Yeah.
And he did it in other markets, and what we found is like the largest companies that you can think of, whether it be HVAC, plumbing, Tommy Mello with garage doors, whatever, at the max had about 10% of market share, but on average, only like 8% of the market share.
Interesting.
And
that checks out pretty much with I did the same research on my own company, and that's I maxed out at 12 at like at a 25-mile radius. I've got 12, but it drops down to like 6 when you double that mileage.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my goodness gracious, like there's so much more for me to get right here, and blew my mind, like absolutely blew my mind. So, so like my thought process, like I genuinely think I'm an idiot for adding roofing and windows. Like, I really do. Because I'm like,
wait on that.
Yeah, because I could have scaled, I still can, right? But scaled gutter way, way better, way bigger, way faster. I could have gotten into like custom, we don't do any like custom half round or box gutters. Like,
all right, so then I would agree with you then.
Right. Like there's a lot that I could have jumped into. We don't service contractors. Like we're starting to now, but we've been only retail for forever, right? And so I'm like, I could have scaled this thing way more, like, and not been distracted by roofing, not been distracted by windows. Like, if I would have just stayed focused, and then okay, if I do feel like I'm tapping out my market, all right, let's go another 20 miles. and then, okay, let's go another 20 miles and done that, but just had the systems on lock. I mean, it took me 6, 7 years to build Gutter Launch, and build the training out for that and everything. It took way longer than it should have taken me,
It
but
always takes longer than you think it's going to take.
it does, right? Always.
Hormozy talks about that too.
Right. So yeah, that's my take on it. I love roofing. It's just at the end of the day, I love solving people's problems. So
Well, okay,
like
so,
with roofing, I get to solve insulation and ventilation issues, and that's cool to me to build a full roofing system and then tie it in with fancy gutters. It's like this is kind of fun. This is a lot of fun. So
there's two methods, right? One is stay in a hyper local market, which I could kind of say maybe I do, right? I'm in this, let's say 20, 25-mile radius, and I stay there, and I want to grow and expand in that market for a number of reasons. One is a higher net worth in that zone. I want to stay in that high net worth zone. B, I think it's easier from a marketing perspective to get that brand awareness, get my name out there, touch people multiple times versus me spreading myself out. The other thing is I have incredible traffic where I live, and it's really hard unless I pop up another shop, which is a possibility, but to get another physical location at that 25, 30 mile mark outside and then keep scaling that way. For me, I feel like I'd rather max out in a hyper local than continue to expand. Now, you two are, you guys are stretched out a lot more than I am. You can travel. You're almost forced to travel. Seth has to go far. Colin, you are somewhat rural. Yeah,
yeah, super. I'm traveling. We go up 3 hours north and about 2 hours south. So
that's something to keep in mind at home. There are different ways to play this game in different parts of the country. It's not the same program, plug and play anywhere. It's very, very unique to metro versus rural versus, there's so many flavors here. So you got to be strategic. But let's, like Tommy Mello, right? Back to garage doors. He's growing by acquisition. That is his strategy. And he's national, right? Is he in every state now?
no, I think he's only in 22.
Okay.
Only in 22.
Yeah. But that's a completely different growth strategy. That's if you're solvent and you have the money to acquire, you can grow rapidly and win, right? You don't have to. You're bootstrapping because you're paying for it, but it's not your traditional bootstrap where you're taking your vehicles and hustling into another territory and trying to get that set up. You're just taking another business that already has the personnel and the equipment, and now you own that, and then you're applying your systems to it.
As someone who's done that, it's super, super great.
Yeah, it's definitely the way to grow. You just need the capital or the startup.
It's by far the cheapest that I've found.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not free by any stretch of the imagination, but it's actually quite affordable, and you grow in chunks that are working already. So
It's true.
I would suggest that to anyone who has the opportunity.
What did you to tell us more about this?
I bought out another small company in 2014, 2015, somewhere around that.
Oh, we talked about this. Yeah.
But that was I didn't get much out of that. I got equipment and pretty much nothing else. But a year and a half ago, I bought out a competitor that was twice my size, and then just absorbed that company into mine.
Did that stick? Those numbers stick on the books?
We rounded out the first year. It broke the fiscal year funny, but at, say, the 365-day mark, it was about, let's say, 1 + 2 = 2.7.
Okay.
And then so far for this year, it looks like we're going to actually grow about 20% from 1 + 2. So it actually took.
That's growth. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, it's working.
That is really good.
Yeah, so for me, when I started to branch out to other things, I did it like obviously I'm deep into drainage, right? I have a whole nother LLC for that, and I make more money in drainage than gutters at this point, but they're neck and neck. They're doing like $2 million each business. This year we're pushing for 5 million collectively. Drainage was a no brainer because I think that's a real easy parlay with rain gutter. It just goes hand in hand. But for me, when I started looking at other things, it was when I started. Well, first of all, I completely exhausted myself on marketing efforts, right? Like tried everything, spread the money, tracked everything, and then you start to see a little regression or slide where you're like, my spend is just the ROI is not there anymore. It doesn't matter if I spend more. I'm not generating more leads per lead source per se. And if you're tracking that closely, you'll see like you kind of hit this glass ceiling, whether it's market share or now, Colin, you argue me on this because I'd love to talk about it deeper, but you're saying push, push, push. Yes, you could grab market share, but I feel like there is this innate glass ceiling where you get so big, you spread the money on marketing efforts, and then all of a sudden you're not getting as many new leads than the dollars you're putting against it. So then I say, okay, well, what else can I do? Can I take the same client base? And that's the other thing, guys, at home. You need to, if you have thousands of customers in a client database, you have something. You have a lot, right? You could now really start playing games and offering things that you forgot about or you haven't put the effort into. And that goes and goes. We have like 10,000 customers in our database. So when you look back and go, well, what do I have? I have this database. So what else can I service them with? Then it made sense to me. And that money goes real long, especially if you're choosing things that are, look, drainage has been around, but stormwater is an emerging market. So I'm big on stormwater. I own that keyword in my hyperlocal. And so I'm the boss with that. So we get all the leads on that, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know, where to take it. How do we help people steer their businesses? Where do we go? It's so unique to where you are and what.
Well, at the end of the day, it really just depends on what do you want as the business owner too. If your target is to make an extra 50 grand a year, you need another service to do that. Right. That can happen with price increases.
For sure.
That's it. So if you're stuck at 100K a year and you're like, if I just made 150, it would change my life. There it is. Increase your prices. You make 150K. Merry Christmas. Right. Off you go.
Well, what's the average dream? I think the average dream is probably like the $2 million mark in gross revenue. I think that's a healthy number to, most guys are trying to shoot for.
I think that's the new, like, COVID ruined everything, and $1 million used to be really coveted, and now it's 2. So
right. So what do you need to put together to hit 2? That's the $1 million or the $2 million question, right?
Right. And that also depends on what your business model looks like. Are you going to pursue being a subcontractor? Because then it looks like 4, maybe 5 or 6 trucks. That they're not going to pump. They're going to pump out 400K a year. And a ton of footage. Or you can do like what I've done, where my retail trucks do 1 to 1.1 mil in 8 months, 9 months. And that's all. That's all they do. Is high dollar retail jobs. They don't pump out near the footage some of these guys on the Facebook group do. But we're also not showing up to DR Horton or Pulte Homes and doing gutters on 6 houses in a row that all got built in the last 30 days. Right. So it's just like, what is your model? What works for you? What do you like doing? And then you just reverse engineer it. All right. I know this truck can pump out this many feet a day. This is our per foot price. Boom. Okay. There it is. And you just kind of reverse engineer that. And then you determine, is this enough for me? Is this what I want? And you go from there. So.
Right. Yeah. There's so many strategies. I stay away from the production work. And when I started, we were doing 1,000 feet a day, easy. That was just our constant. That was the mark. I'm so happy I got away from that. I mean, it was burning out guys, burning out vehicles.
Right.
What a disaster. Every day was so high stress. Now it's get the best dollar and, make the same money and not have that like incredible stress of 4 crews grabbing material and running out the door and
Right.
bumping
Well,
into.
and it's crazy because you're in the same market.
I know.
And that's the thing. So many people get stuck on like, no, it's not possible in my market. I can't get top dollar in my market. I mean, I told you guys I sold a roof and gutter package. Sold my gutter at basically $17 a foot, 6-inch K, just aluminum white K, and a roof at 700 a square in a market where they're racing to the bottom for target gross profits on roofing of 25%. And I came in at 55 and we won, right? Like it is not about
No.
price. It is very rarely about price, And Frank, like you talk so much about how the net worth in your area is so high. It boggles my brain that there are people running around doing gutters in that area for $6 a foot or whatever.
That's all they know. That's they don't have any clue on how to put it together.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. There's nothing to do with that.
I was just
what's that?
Well, I was helping a buddy out in down a little bit north of Houston last week. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. He came up, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, can I shadow you for a couple of days?" He's like, "Yeah, what's wrong?" He's like, I'm not getting any sales." He's like, I've given like 15 quotes, none of them came through. I was like, well, "What's your price?" He's like, "I'm at $6." I'm like, "All right, listen up. You're gonna think this is crazy." I said, "Go put on your best polo, bump your prices up $4 or $5, bring your samples with you, spend an hour with that customer each time, and then do good, better, best pricing. You can use basic, mid, premium, whatever you want, 3-tier pricing." And I was like, "It's gonna work." He's like, "Yeah, but there's guys that are $4 a foot here." It's like, don't think about it. It's not going to work like that. Just so he comes up, he follows me around for a day, and he's like, "Okay." He goes back home. He texts me the next day. He's like, "I just sold a full wrap with leaf blaster at like double price." Like just like the first quote after coming back is
the first time somebody does that. It's like, oh my God, what an eye opener for them.
That's right. Yeah, but then they get in their own head, and then like sometimes not always, right? And they get in their own head and they revert back, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like I had the same situation, fella in Jacksonville. He's probably listening right now. Told him, he's like, "Dude, I'm struggling. I had to raise prices." He bought this business, got a huge SBA loan, so we got this huge monthly nut, and had to bump his prices because now he's got to make money off of it. Plus, he's got to pay this SBA thing, and so the $7 a foot isn't going to work anymore. So he bumped it to 8.25, and he lost like 3 of his huge contractors. And he's like, "That's like half my work. What am I going to do?" I said, "You sell better. Go double your price." He's like, "Can I do 12 a foot?" Sure, go for it. I'm not talking about you, Philip, but I was like, he's like, "Can I do 12 first?" I said, "Sure." You go up 50%. He texts me the next day. He's like, "Holy crap, it worked on the first one. Okay, I'm going to the 16." All right, sweet, man. He's like, "Holy cow, it worked again." And then, like, I don't hear from him the rest of the week. I'm just assuming it's going well. So I check in the next week. "Hey, man, how'd it go?" "Went good the first couple of days, and then I didn't get another one, so I went back down to $8 a foot."
Yeah, panicked.
Okay. All right, man. Like, it is what it is. But they freak out. They do that thing, and the rest is history. But now I'll call you out, Philip. You need to raise your damn prices. So, yeah, do it. So,
But
yeah,
I think
that's
when we were talking about earlier with market share, I think you can actually grow your market share considerably past that 10% kind of threshold, and it's it seems to be very counterintuitive as to how to make that work, because you're not going to find that market share at the bottom.
Right.
It's true.
Oh, that's so good, Seth. Like that's so profound. It, we're testing door knocking, so I'm building this software called Lead Spotter, where using AI and certain imagery, it'll tell you what houses need your services, and so then you go and you knock on those doors, right? You build a team to do this, and so we're testing it now. Flew my partner and his two kids in, and hired some guys, and we're testing it. And it's working like gangbusters, booking 5 to 11 leads a day off of this. And what we're discovering is these people wouldn't be calling us because they don't know that they need this service. But we show up and we create their desire for the service by knocking on the door. And they're like, oh, yeah, I absolutely do need that. Like, yeah, your neighbors have it. And they're like, oh, yeah, my neighbors can't one up me. Right. And it just boom, 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 boom. Or like, hey, I noticed you don't have any gutters. Have you had any water in your basement recently? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know that? Like, well, because you don't have gutters.
Obvious.
Gutters can fix that? Like, yes, gutters can help that. And they're like, oh my goodness. Like, so let's set up an estimate right now. Boom, it's done. And we create that desire instead of waiting for Facebook to give them a good pattern interrupt or wait for them to decide, you know what, I need this, or their buddy at work to tell them, hey, you should look into gutters maybe. Like, no, go freaking get it. And so I completely agree. You can blow past that number.
What is your strategy, by the way, on door knocking? Do you like have the fully lettered truck on the street with like, like drawing them in like a beacon and then shadow the truck and walk off the truck?
We have our little sales car right now, and then I have a Hyundai Santa Fe. So we can only fit like 5 people in these vehicles. But yeah, we park the car on the street. We put some yard signs at the beginning of the neighborhoods, right? So we'll drive around the neighborhood, and every entrance gets a yard sign. And then we go to door, right? And we don't go door to door. And that trips people up because they see you coming. We're in blue shirts.
They know you're coming.
They know we're coming. And then when we skip their house, they're like, hey, what the heck? Like, you're not coming to my house? And like, it's like, no, you don't need our services. They're like, what? And so
you're well received. You're not getting chased away or told to go
right.
off.
They've knocked, I don't know how many total doors in the last 2 weeks, like 1,500.
Yeah.
We've only had 3 people actually mad.
Wow.
3. So like, it doesn't happen. And like, y'all, we have a 14-year-old boy, a 16-year-old girl, a 21-year-old boy, and a 42-year-old man knocking doors right now.
And that's all good. Like you're like the 14-year-old that's like
that roof I sold today was because he knocked on the door and they're like, did he get paid for this? I was like, you bet your ass he does. And they're like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Man, they're so cynical up here in the Northeast. Yeah, I'm Metro New York. It's like, oh, you have a kid. That would be like, oh, you have a kid. We're calling the labor
really?
union. Oh yeah, man, that would freak people out. That would freak people out. I'm blown away by the success of that.
Me too, genuinely. Like me too.
The kid's trained. He knows. He's got the rap down.
I mean, all he says is like, "Hey, my name is Zeke, and I'm helping my dad for a summer job, and just trying to make some money so I can buy a new Nintendo Switch for my esports team." And people are like, "Oh yes, like go get it, kid!" And they're all about it. And then it's a simple line like, you wouldn't be opposed to getting a free roof or gutter inspection, would you? And they're like, I mean, no, I'm not opposed to it. Okay, cool. Let's call the office and schedule a time. It literally goes that easy sometimes. Yeah. So it's that easy. And then it's on us as sales reps to show up and create the urgency.
I know that was like, I don't know if it still is, but I know it was the way for roofers, right? Especially with like storm chasers, hail swath, like, all right, map it out, go hit doors, get the ability to get on the roof and inspect because we're going to find damage, we're going to find insurance claims. But I thought it trended away where it was like, I don't want to say illegal, but like it was frowned on. But you're pulling it off, huh? Not a problem.
No.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
It is. My wife and I started my company in 2010 that way, going door to door. In the city that we live in now, it's illegal to go door to door unless you're a Jehovah's Witness or a firefighter, I think.
Interesting.
But in most places, it's not around here. It's just we just had a city ordinance because the solar guys were doing it way too much and pissed everyone off.
Okay. Hey, I mean, if it's not a problem, go crazy, right? Attack it. Like they'd say yard signs. A lot of places say, oh, yard signs are frowned upon. City's going to call you and scream at you. And I've been called in years past, but we've like rekindled the fire on yard signs in the last year and a half, and we go hard on them. Like that's a great rain day event for the guys. And we get calls from them, and I'm not getting shaken down by any of the municipalities. Nobody's calling, complaining, and I have signs everywhere. I mean, I have friends and people that know me that'll be like, I just saw your sign. They'll take a picture and text it to me, and I'm like, yeah, good. You saw it. So I'm brave in that realm, right? I'm brave in going into signs, but the door knocking's next level, man. You're a savage.
It's honestly like I was nervous about it with the perception and everything like that.
Right, good. You're being honest.
But people love it. Like people actually appreciate the hustle. Like that's the overwhelming consensus from everybody knocking doors is people appreciate the hustle.
I love that. That's great feedback.
Right. Yeah. And what we've discovered, to your point, is we're not the only roofing company knocking doors. Like many neighborhoods we've gone to, they're like, hey, you're like the fifth one here for roofing.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me talk to you about gutters and windows. And they're like, oh, you do that? And nobody, we have the monopoly on gutter door knocking.
Wow.
Would not run across another gutter door knocker.
So I went out and quoted a cedar roof a week ago, and I came in at around $147,000. And she revealed after that she had two other quotes. One was at $150,000, the other was at around $100,000. And the guy that bid $100,000 knocked her door, and he was doing a roof right across the street. This is a real high-end neighborhood, and he was doing a cedar roof for her neighbor. And he knocked the door, and he was taking the insurance claim angle and said, "We can get you a new roof. We'll get insurance to pay for it. You definitely have hail damage. We know that there was a storm here." Now we don't get hail here. There's no effing hail. Believe me, if there was hail, I'd be making money on hail. There's no hail. So I rolled my eyes. She's like, I know, we don't have hail, but he swears that. I'm like, well, look at his price. He's off by $50,000. Like, there's a problem here, but he must spend zero on marketing and do a lot of door knocking, and that's his angle, right? I mean,
yep. Well, that angle doesn't always work. Like the one I sold today, off of our door knock, he's like, yeah, a couple of years ago we had a guy come through here and he said, hey, I can get you a new roof from insurance. We had hail here, and it went up, and he's like, yep, there's definitely hail. Like I found it all, and I just kind of like roll my eyes, and he goes, the homeowner was like, I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Like we didn't have a hailstorm. Like I'm not comfortable. I feel like I'm lying, and I was like, yeah, dude, you don't have any hail damage. You just have a 24-year-old roof. And he's like, right, I know. And like that was me. That was the sale right there. Like I knew I was getting the sale at that point. Trust level was 10 out of 10. Right?
If you read the paper closely, you'll see a lot of the guys that like take deposits and run. A lot of the scammers knock doors.
Yeah.
They kind of they're like grifters. Show up, hit the neighborhood, grab a bunch of deposits, and then they live in another state. You know, they're gone.
Yeah. You know what's something that's working crazy for me right now? So this is like a whole new territory that we're knocking doors in. We've never ever serviced this territory, but I grew up there. All right. So I know the area, I know people and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm just being I get to play the we're new line. Like, yeah, we've been in business for a decade up here in Leadington, but we're just opening up shop down here. We're shooting to have an office, and you could be one of our first clients." And they're like, "Oh, really?" Like, yeah, we're, So I always said, once I get established up there, I wanted to open up back down here, back at home, back at home. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great, hometown boy coming home." And like, they love it. They eat it up, and they're like, "Yeah, cool." And
That's a good way to drop defenses. I like that.
Right, but you have that same thing whether you're new in business or not. Like, hey, we're young business, just hustling, just doing our best to try and serve as many people as we can.
Yeah, but
and people want to support that.
On the flip side, though, you do have an established business in your territory. So on the door knocking side, it's not like you're like some fly by night that's sliding through town. Like you have a showroom. You did at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, we still got a showroom.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I have a showroom. I'm right. They probably know the name. They see the logo, see the cars around town. So
they don't in this area.
Oh,
like this is like an hour and a half away.
So you're trying to.
Yeah, it's like 85 miles away. So it's completely new. So we're like, when I say we're testing this door knocking thing, we're testing it. It ain't like people know who we are.
Can you talk deeper on that, like ROI and conversions and stuff? Like, how is it going?
Yeah. So to date, I think we've set something like, I don't know, 20, 26 appointments or something like that. As far as
3 weeks
sales go, we've gotten 0 no's so far.
Okay.
The first week was a real learning curve on how to approach the sale.
Hold on. Before you continue, it's very important. Did you hear what Colin just said? He got 0 no's. What does that mean? That means that Colin follows up. He doesn't let the opportunity slide. He doesn't bid and then forget about it. He's obviously puts them in the funnel, and he has a process, and he follows up and he follows up until he gets a damn no, right? Otherwise, they're a maybe, they're a possibility. Yep. And that's how he's running his game, and that's critical too. You got to be a dog on a bone. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get a no, right? But sometimes you do want to get a no. If they're ghosting you, like, hey, just tell me no, please. So then I can quit wasting my time following up with you.
Exactly.
But yeah, so no no's. That first week, though, we didn't get any deals. And this week they started picking up. So I think we've gotten 4 deals here this week on leads that we've been running. So, but total revenue is like 85,000.
And you said 2 weeks or 3 weeks of knocking?
We are 2 weeks in.
80K
today.
That's a healthy add-on, man.
Right. Yeah, it is. I mean, the cost wise, like we pay the knockers $15 an hour. Okay. And then after they book 6, like the $15 an hour, they're expected to get us 6 appointments. After that 6, then they get 75 per, up to 15. They hit 15, now they get 150.
Hey, how many are they?
So what was that?
That's goal. $15 an hour, 8-hour day or something, 10-hour day. Get 6 appointments today.
Yep, exactly. And then everyone after that, $75 until you get 15. Then they become 150.
And then the math is 6. How many appointments do you assign to a sales guy? 4 a day?
No. Right now, more than I want. About 3. Like 3 roofs. I mean, I spend 2.5, 3 hours on a roof.
Well, I think that's fine. You spend a few hours.
Right. So like 3 hours, or times 3 a day, it's like, whew, kicks your butt.
Yeah.
But you get cottonmouth and all that fun stuff, So, but gutters, we can do like 4 a day. Those are like 45 minutes to an hour and a half on site, usually. But yeah, that's how we run it. I don't want my reps running more than 2 because I want them out also knocking and generating leads themselves.
Is that a requirement for your sales?
It 100% is.
You have to.
I mean, unless they're in BFE, middle of nowhere, right? Like you're not going to roll up to people's houses in your car to knock on their door. But if it's a neighborhood or whatever, absolutely, we require it. You go knock doors, or you don't have a job.
That's powerful. I mean, they say sales guys are divas.
Yep, they are.
They only want to do what they want to do. They want to try to cherry pick leads. They don't want to knock. They want this. They want that. This is one of your mandates, huh? This is the routine.
It's a non-negotiable. We all build this thing. Like, they're owners. When I put a new guy in a new territory, like we put out. I don't know how to share it on here, but like we put out a door hanger where it's like they're the owner. We make them look like they're the owner. Family photos, like their dogs, their cats, like a little write up about them and why serving this area is important to them. We make everybody owners, and like they hustle, dude. It's cool.
Awesome. I love it.
Seth, you've been quiet the last like 20 minutes, so I'm sure you've got a million.
Yeah, my sound card's all acting up over here and everything's garbled, so I'm trying to like pay attention without rebooting or anything.
Oh,
No, I've been able to follow. I just haven't had much to add.
all right.
I'm good about shutting up. It's one of my qualities.
Well, I mean, man, growth is tricky, right? I mean, they tell you do something good and do that only, right? It's like the soup Nazi in Seinfeld, right? Like you make a good soup, just make the soup, and then the line goes out the door and around the block, and everybody wants the soup. It's hard. It's hard. You want more, and you're like, well, I'm not getting as many gutter jobs as I can handle, and so now what? Maybe I'll take on this and take on that. Maybe the better lesson is how to not only maximize but break through all the glass ceilings on whether it's grabbing market share, expanding beyond what you even could comprehend that you could. Can it be done fast? Is it slow growth? There's so many ways to take that. Is that Seth?
My personal goals when it comes to that are just like I'm going the market share route. I don't want to add things. I like sticking to what I know, and I've like created a kind of cloud of other tradesmen, so I prefer to give leads rather than sub stuff. And I'm just going for the market share. That's my favorite thing to chase.
I like that.
That's what I'm going after.
Tell me the math on how you guys derive where you think you are with market share. You both said you did calcs and you came up with figures. How'd you do that math?
A wide array of different things. Seth brought up in the chat, supplier data. How much they're selling to other people. But then I've also gotten pretty chummy with a lot of my competition. And their numbers are always a little bit inflated. Everybody's going to peacock a little bit. What's that?
Everybody lies. I got a local competitor that calls me once a year. I don't even know why I even answer his calls. He's such a knucklehead, but he always goes out. He asks me what I'm doing, and then he always
a little bit.
2/3 more than me. Whatever, dude. I'm so tired of you calling me.
Right. Yeah. So they always lie a little bit about that. So that you can also like tracking reviews, and that's not quite nearly as accurate, right? Because not a lot of people ask for reviews very well. But you can track that. Google, you can see like total searches. And okay, well, I only got 10 of those calls out of the 100 searches. So like, what the heck? There's a lot of just marketing data. Facebook can share with you what like companies ads are, how they're performing. You can also like look at their ads and see how they're performing. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. Those are more the Josh side of things.
Those are all good.
Yeah, so a lot of different ways that you can kind of see it. Is it absolutely dead nuts? Probably not, right? But it's probably pretty darn close.
Sure.
Seth, you got anything bad?
Yeah, I focused mainly on the supplier side data because I had access to it, and being that we only have 4 suppliers here, we really only have 3.5 suppliers.
Lucky.
So it's not like where you guys are. You might have, 7 different options as to where to buy material. Oh, okay. Well,
What?
down here we have ABC, we have Phenox, and we have Spectra. But Spectra is 2 hours away and doesn't ship to everyone. So it's like we have very, very limited data, or very limited suppliers. So that data is really, really accurate for going off of. That doesn't tell you like what everyone's charging or anything like that. But I track how much coil I use and all that kind of stuff regularly. All that's constantly updating. So when I get like a supplier report that says they've sold X amount, I know where I fit in, and then I have a map with all the bigger competitors and where they are, and I just try to keep track of more or less who's doing what.
You know what's interesting? It's like
most people will share a little bit.
But let's define market share, right? Is it the amount of footage that actually gets installed, or is it the dollars that turn on gutters in a calendar year, right? Like if I could sell 2.5 times what this guy sells for, and he's doing more volume, who really has market share? You know, like it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting
No, that's
question.
definitely a real consideration.
Yeah, for sure. Like let him drown himself in that shit work. Have at it, buddy. You know, have as much as you could handle, and then have it for dessert too. You know, use 2 spoons when you're eating. I really want to see you just chow down. For me, I want to just keep myself as busy as possible with the high price work. You know, and so I pace that. As long as I could keep that pace, and we don't drop below the threshold that we all agree to on the sales side, to not sell below, and I'm not starved for work. I know how my numbers play out, right? I'm having the year I want and then some. So, you know, what's market share? Like I don't want to take on commercial work anymore. I don't want to take on tract work or, you know, builder stuff because it's high volume, low profit, and is that truly market share? I'd rather somebody else be tied up in that and focus on the bigger bucks. I don't know. We need a clear answer on that, right? To me, the market, the entire pie, is the dollar spent, good or bad, high or low, in that market in a year. That's what the transactional dollar amount, what people are willing to come out of pocket for. That truly is what the market bears. Well, we were going to have Kyle on tonight. Obviously, he's always got the open invite. He's in SeaWorld right now with the family.
Oh, fun.
I think they were out there. He's got out there today.
You know, swimming with Shamu.
He deserves it. He's a hardworking fella.
Is Shamu still alive? Shamu was around when I was a kid.
Like fourth generation.
Or if it's just a title.
So
it's all a sham, right? They just slap some black and white paint on them and get out there.
slap some black and white paint on.
Yeah.
Shamu attack somebody or something?
When I was a kid, it was just Free Willy out there.
That's right. That's right.
All right, boys. I mean, I think we kind of beat it up tonight. Is somebody here, George? Is there someone at the door? Or are you just messing with us now?
You say ding dong, time to go. Let's go.
I'm literally soaked in sweat. It's got to be 101 degrees up here right now. He's downstairs in the AC in the office. I'm going to kill him.
All right. Well, let's close this thing up. What do you say?
Let's wrap it up. We have some amazing guests coming up. They're already teed up. Colin has been hustling, George, myself. Got some amazing guests coming up. Obviously, we'll have Seth back. We're going to have the Gutter School team. All we're missing is Kyle, and then the 4 of us back together to speak on Gutter School and all of the happenings going on there. We're getting so darn close. Everybody's pumping with content, and we'll have some laughs with that. That's always a funny foursome. But that's it for tonight, folks. I have to go take a nice cold shower and a soak, and change my underpants. Have a great evening.
See y'all.